This is Things I Need to Learn in Life I Didn't Learn in School, covering everything we should know as adults that got glossed over in our classrooms. With your host, Wave News anchor, Dawne Gee.
Thank you so much for joining us again for Things I Need to Learn in Life I Did Not Learn in School. And I'm so happy to welcome my guest today. This is what she does 24/7 for the last 60 years that I have been on this earth. It is my mother, Joanna Smith, who is an educator. Mom, I was trying to think of how long you were in the school system because you stepped out for 2 seconds and then stepped back in.
41 years.
41 years. Mm-hmm. You still have not stopped yet, though, technically. JCPS calls you back occasionally. You still work with Dr. Marty Polio to make sure that the schools are doing the best they can for their families. It's something in educators, I believe, that make you all who you are.
And you want to know what that is?
I mean, like, yeah, maybe.
Well, number one, it's the love of children. You have to love children, and you want to see them be successful. And you know that you're the one that can make them successful. Because I always knew I could make children be successful adults. So if I had that skill, why not use it?
Yeah, my daughter's just like her. It's almost unbelievable. So what we're going to do is give tips for success today. For parents, you have to be involved. And for kids, what do you want to start with, the kids or the parents?
It doesn't matter. I have a contract that I used to give my kids when I really worked. And one said tips for a successful school year for students, and the other one was tips for your child to have a successful school year. Because it's a partnership. It's not just the child, it's not just the parent. The child has to have the support of the parents. And when we have children, we don't get a rule book saying, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. But as educators, we learn those things that make children successful. So I'll start with the students. When I worked for Real, I had the kids to sign this contract, and I had the parents to sign the contract. And if they brought it back to school, they'd get a little treat for bringing it back because I really wanted everybody to be committed to following these tips. So I'll start with the students, and the first thing is the children need to be responsible for getting themselves in bed at bedtime. It shouldn't be an argument with the parents. So part of the contract is get a good night's sleep. If kids come to school the next morning and they're tired and they're sleepy and they have no energy, I can bet you they're not going to learn a lot that day. They have to have a good night's sleep. They should have a designated bedtime. My great-grandson knows. He goes to bed at 9 o'clock. He says, Gigi, it's almost 9 o'clock. I'm supposed to be home. I got to go to bed.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
Yeah.
And he does that. So they are so lucky they don't have to fight with him.
Right, he knows. But, somebody called me the other day and said, my great-grandson, I want my great-grandson to go to a good school. What's a good school? I said, well, all of them are good schools. It's the support that you give your child. And the thing about teachers want to succeed. Their success is measured by student success. So the teachers are going to do everything they can to make your child succeed. So the first thing you have to do is be the parent and say, it's 9 o'clock or 9:30 or whatever you set the bedtime at. It's time to go to bed, and then mean it. No bargaining,
We did not argue with my mother, and that's all I can say about that. Breakfast. Kids need to eat. Now, what scares me is there are, and my mom and I have a nonprofit, a recipe to end hunger. I don't have employees or don't have to pay anybody because my family does it. And my mom is right there with me trying to end food insecurity. Some kids don't have a meal, but can't children eat at school?
Every school has a breakfast program. And they have a lunch program. If you qualify, then your children eat free. It just means you need to get them there 15 or 20 minutes earlier so they have time. School starts at 9 o'clock. I think it starts at 9 and not 9:05. Sometimes that changes, but I think it starts at 9 o'clock. Then they need to be there 15 minutes to 9 because kids don't take much time to eat. They kind of inhale their food, so they don't need to be there at 7 o'clock.
Play.
Yeah, well, yeah, sometimes they play. But they need to know, I'm going to drop you off at 9 o'clock. You go in. If they're on the bus, you don't have to worry about it. Those kids that are riding the bus, when they get to school, if they have qualified for free breakfast or reduced breakfast, they are automatically fed their breakfast. So it's important that they get a good breakfast. They can, and some kids will eat breakfast at home and come to school and eat breakfast at school too.
That's okay though, right?
Because that's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So that's okay. We rather them have too much than not enough.
Okay, I want to make sure we get all of these in, so I'm going to read through some of them, and on the ones we really need to stop, then stop me.
Okay.
Okay. Listen to directions. Have a place to study and do homework at home. Now that's important. What's that look like? Having a place to do homework and study at home.
Well, it depends on what your home looks like. Ideally, every kid would have their own room and their own desk and their own everything. But realistically, that's not the way it is. So if the kitchen table is where they study, it's okay. Just don't have the TV on during the time they're studying. Don't have the other kids interrupting them. If you have several kids in the house when they come in, everybody can have the same study time. And that way you know that that's a good time to study. And, you know, I always worry about how much time kids need to study. Look at it age appropriate. Your kindergarten child does not need to sit at a table for 2 hours. Studying. Even if you think the letter A is not written correctly at that time, don't keep them there for 2 hours trying to make that letter A correctly. They'll eventually get it. Kindergartners don't need to sit any longer than 10 or 15 minutes working on a skill. Your high school kids, of course, are going to have more homework, and it's going to take them longer. So they cannot get up when your kindergarten child gets up from the table.
Complete all homework. I can remember my son would do his homework and then not take it to get graded. Like, that made no sense to me. I know you remember all of this. I know you do. Because when I went to a parent-teacher conference, my mother came with me. I told him it's like going to work and telling them, oh, don't pay me. Turn it in. Finish all assignments. Do your best. Ask your teacher for help when you do not understand. Be on your best behavior. Follow classroom and school rules. Arrive at school on time. Parents, that's more your responsibility. I was terrible getting my kids to school on time. And I know that. That messes them up, doesn't it?
I won't comment on you being
I know, Mom. But seriously, when the kids are not.
When children come in late, if they come in, school starts at 9 and they come in at 9:10, they have actually missed 10 minutes of instruction. They're not just sitting there waiting on your child to come in. They have missed 10 minutes of instruction. And if they've missed 10 minutes of instruction, they're already behind for that day.
So it makes a difference.
It makes it, and then some children, I had one little first grader that if she was late to school, I knew she was going to be ready to throw some chairs. That's all it was to it, because she was embarrassed at coming into the classroom late. So then she would throw a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
So get them there on time.
Okay. All right, parents, we're going to go over your notes. I personally think that the parent's role is uber important, and if the parent is doing what they're doing, the child is going to do what?
Let me go back to one that you just kind of listen to directions from all adults in the school. Sometimes the child will say, that's not my teacher. She can't tell me what to do. Every adult, from the custodian to the lunchroom workers, to if they are an adult, then the children have the responsibility and the obligation to follow their directions.
And parents need to make sure that that happens. Like in our house, and I'm going to just put it out there, I could disagree with you.
Right.
But in the end, you had the final say.
Right.
You would listen to me. Mm-hmm. And sometimes things would change.
Right.
But in the end, I have to do what you want me to do.
That's right.
Okay. And parents, I mean, my mother always looked at me and said, I'm not going to argue with you. Who do you think you are? I'm not going to argue with you. And we start on the parent success list. Make your child get a good sleep. Put them to sleep. Put them to sleep. Oh my gosh, I can remember once. I don't know how she knew. I was laying in bed. I don't even know if you'll remember this. And I used to.
Candy.
I knew you were going to remember. I would put candy under my pillow, and how she knew every night exactly when I started eating it. Then I had to get up, brush my teeth again, get rid of the candy, and go to bed. So watch your children. Again, this is on you. Make sure they eat. Make sure they arrive at school on time. We have to do that. I was the worst on that, I confess. And then, a lot of times, I find this with my daughter's students, that they have papers in their backpack that the parents are supposed to sign. They have homework in their backpack. If you would look at it so you know, how does the parent know what homework they have, and how important is it to look in there, sign what they ask you to sign, and get it back?
That's right. That's the parents' homework. Check your child's backpack, not once a week or once a month, but every evening. And what happens a lot of times is it sets the child up to be really upset at school, because they'll come in and maybe they're going on a field trip that day. And the child, it's their responsibility to give you the field trip permission slip, but they forgot. We forget, children forget. What happens is the kid gets back to school the next morning without a field trip permission slip signed. Guess what? They don't get to go on that field trip.
And that's so hurtful.
Right.
And then if they're trying to call mom because they have to give,
You're
it's
calling mom to get the permission, and the teacher and the people in the office will do everything they can to reach that mom. But if you work at Walmart or some of the stores, you can't answer your phone once you get to work. If you're at GE on the line, you can't answer your phone probably when you're at work, you know. So you need to make sure, and then it's a way for you to monitor exactly what they're doing. You will know whether your child can add 1 and 1 when they go to school, and in December they still can't add 1 and 1. You need to just make sure, and if the child's not progressing, then you need to find out why.
Again, you say make sure your child has a place to study. Mm-hmm. We talked about that. How important is it to make arrangements? Know your child's teacher. Who's the counselor? Who's the principal? What should the parent do?
Number one, you need to make sure you know everybody that's responsible for your child. This is your most precious possession. I wanted to know. There was no way I was not going to know. My child spending 6.5 hours at school every day with somebody, I'm going to know who they're with. And on the other hand, the school people want to know who the parents are. You know, are these parents going to really work with me? If we really know each other, we can work better together, we can understand what's going on. Sometimes it's problems in the home. And we don't ask parents to come. You don't need to go tell them all your business. We don't even want to know all your business. But it's very important to say, we're having a little problem at home this week. So, you know, Don might act a little different this week because we're having a little problem at home. It lets the teacher and the counselor and the principal know we need to see if we can help this child. Can't solve the situation, but at least give the child a little more attention and help them work through their problem.
You said you can't solve it, but schools have family resource centers now.
Right.
So if somebody's not eating, or
Yes.
if there's domestic violence, or if the child's embarrassed because she doesn't have clothes, or if mom is sick and that's causing the child to act out, some of those things, there are people in the school that may be able to help.
All of those things that you name, most parents will come and ask for help for that. But when a child brings me a bag of marijuana and says, my daddy smokes this every night, and when he gets high, he's not fun. Can you call the police? And I'm like, oh no, oh snap, what am I supposed to do? Because if the authorities don't see it being used in front of the children, when I was working, and I had that situation, they said if you didn't see the parent with it in front of the child, nothing we can do. And I was okay with that, but I did call the parent. And I said, well, you know, I turn your weed over to the police, but you just need to be a little more careful about what you do in front of your children. So some of the things that the kids see at home, the school cannot address. But clothing and food and helping with LG&E and water bills and those kind of things, family resource centers are really good at finding those types of services.
So know that there is help.
There is help. There is help.
So, and I think everybody needs to hear this. It just seems so different in the world today. Children will act out and have some behavior issues, and the teacher will call the parent, but then the parent cusses the teacher out.
Well, I'll tell you, you don't know what that parent has on their plate. And I get so angry when I hear people talk about parents, they don't love their kids, they just want them to be in school to get rid of them. If I'm working 2 jobs, and I'm a single mom, and I'm working 2 jobs, sometimes 2.5 jobs, then I sent my kid to school. You take care of my kid while I'm in school, because I'm taking care of him when I'm at home. And I'm tired. I haven't had any sleep because baby number 1 was up all night crying and sick, and the oldest ones were demanding something, and I'm tired now. So you take care of them in school. And that's why it's important for parents and teachers to know each other, because then you form a relationship where the parent can say, you know what, I'll check on them, but I was really tired last night. I was really tired. I've had people to come back in and apologize to me because they were tired when I called them because the kid was acting up. So don't write the parent off. You know, the teachers are not going to write them off, but parents can't write off teachers. You cannot write off the people that are responsible for your children 6.5 hours a day. You just can't write them off. And it's
a
good
relationship.
To know. It's a relationship.
Okay. And that is so important. But parents, try so hard and talk to the folks at the school. What if they do have a problem, though? If the parent has a teacher, if a parent has a problem with a teacher, what's the 1, 2, 3? What do they do?
If a parent has a problem with a teacher, the first thing they do is go in and talk with the teacher. Because sometimes you'll find out it's not really a problem, and the teacher and the parent can work it out. Now, that doesn't always happen. So the next thing you do is you go to the counselor and say, my child's having a problem in Mrs. Smith's classroom, and we haven't been able to solve it. So then the counselor will put some strategies into place. And then if it doesn't work, and there are times when it doesn't work, then you go to the principal. And you always want to start with the school first. The teacher, the counselor, the principal.
All right. Should it be in writing, or can you just speak?
You can just speak.
Okay.
You know, and that's why it's important to build a relationship with the school personnel.
Because then you already know them and they know you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Be involved in PTA and volunteer if you can. For some parents, that's almost impossible because of their work schedule. I know for me, I had a crazy work schedule. And my parents always made it possible for me to be at my children's things. We worked it out. It was chaos and it was a circus, but we worked it out. So do what you can, right, I guess?
Yeah, and again, I always think about, there are a lot of people that relocate. There are a lot of mothers raising their children by themselves. There are some fathers raising their children by themselves. They don't have a support system in the same city that they're in. So they can't make the PTA meetings if the school has a PTA. They cannot go on the field trips. But if you have a relationship with the school, then they already know that you can't do all of those things. We used to have Thanksgiving dinner with your parents. And a lot of the parents couldn't come during the day. But we couldn't have Thanksgiving dinner at night because we had to use the lunchroom food for the dinner. And so we would have people in the building. We knew which kids would not have somebody there because their parents worked. So then this kid would go sit with some of the school personnel.
Oh.
So they'd have a special person to sit with that day. Or some of the parents that came in all the time would say, hey, can Joe sit with us today? Because I'm going to be here. And the parents, so if you're working with the schools would take care of your children.
Right. Label all the clothing, hats, gloves, sweaters, and things when you send your children out.
And I know that's a headache. But when we go shopping at Walmart, they have a whole rack of sweaters and hats and gloves and things that look the same. And once the children take it off their body, they never recognize it again.
So put a name on it.
Put a name on it.
Please, put a name on it.
Anything you want them to bring back home with them, put their name on it. Now, don't write it all across the back. Just put it on the tag. And we used to find kids that belonged to certain sweaters because their parents did that. But at the end of the school year, I would have 4 or 5 garbage bags full of stuff that we would donate to the clothing closet.
Because the kids just didn't know it was
They
there.
didn't. We had one mother that came over one day and said, I knew y'all were taking my kids' sweaters. We don't want them. They're laying on the stage for your kid to claim. They won't claim them. So she picked up everything that she knew was her child's, and we were so happy to see those things go off the stage.
That's so funny. If your child is sick and unable to attend school, don't send your child to school sick. It's so hard, though, because if they have to go to work, what do? But I guess you start thinking about that before the school year, if you can.
Right. And for those parents that don't have a support system, I just hope their bosses understand. You don't want somebody infecting your child with chicken pox, because they don't get chicken pox and measles like they used to. But you don't want them giving them the flu or bad cold or stomach virus or those things. And now we worry about COVID.
COVID and monkeypox. I mean, there's so much. So if your child is sick, and sometimes when you don't have a support system, it doesn't have to be blood family.
No, whoever can keep, you should have somebody. And everybody doesn't have. We think everybody should have somebody. But I'm new to the city and I don't trust anybody.
Right, and so they don't do it.
And but when your child gets well, if you didn't take the child to the doctor, everybody doesn't take the child to the doctor because that costs a lot of money sometimes, and insurance doesn't always pay for everything. Just write a note to the school saying, and call the school and tell them, my child won't be in today, they're sick. And then send them back with a note. It goes into their folder. That is very important because the state checks all of that stuff. Why was this child absent? And if they're absent too many days, then the parent ends up in trouble.
It's important for the parent to have all the information for the school, know your kid, like we said, know the faculty, know the school number, but in turn, if your information changes, the school needs that as well.
Yes. Many times we can call, child is sick, we can call a parent, and the number has been changed. As if you change your phone number Monday night, send the new phone number in Tuesday morning. It's very important. If school gets out early, some of the schools may call certain parents because we know they're at work, they're not looking at news. Can't get you if we don't have the right phone number. But the main thing is if your child gets sick at school, we want to be able to get in touch with you. If your child has a problem, we need to get in touch with you.
What'd we miss? You know what I didn't do? My mother's name is Joanna Smith. has been an educator for 41 years. I just said mama. I didn't even address. I'm sorry,
didn't
Mom.
pay any attention.
I'm sorry. And that's what's, I'm so comfortable because I'll be with her tonight. I was with her early this morning. So I apologize for that. This is my mother, Joanna Smith, educator for 41 years. As we end and wrap this up, I'm sure I missed something. What do you want to say?
Boy, that time went fast. One
did,
thing
didn't it?
I'd like to get in is, if you have preschool children, read to them every night. There's a Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and now it's open to the whole city of Louisville. It was restricted to 6 area codes, zip codes, but now it's open to the whole city. And the books are mailed directly to your house once a month. They are free and yours to keep. Start reading to the baby as soon as you find out you're pregnant.
It's so funny. It's so true. I tell everybody this on TV all the time. When a baby is born anywhere, and my mom knows about it, first thing she does is to get a book. You have to register for Dolly Parton, and it goes from what, birth to 5 years old?
Yeah, the books stop at 5. So if you have little ones out there, I would suggest you can go online and find Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. I think you can even fill the application out online, and the books are mailed to your house. They stop the books at 5. I understand it might take about 3 months for them to start. So if you have a child that's getting ready to turn 5, it's not a trick. Don't fill out the application, because as soon as they hit 5, they won't get a book. So they may not get any books, and people get a little concerned about that because they think, I filled the book out on Monday, it's going to hit my door on Friday.
No.
It's not like Amazon. It won't do that.
Okay. What else did we miss?
I think that's it.
Okay. The most important thing for parents to do?
The most important things for parents to do is make sure your child knows when he walks out the door, he is everything and can be whatever he wants to be. All he has to do is listen to those folks at school, do the very best that he or she can, and they will be successful. Don't do a lot of punishment when they come home with bad grades. Just work with them and find out what the problem is.
All right. I guess.
And behavior is the key. They have to know how to keep their bottoms in a chair and listen.
And all of that starts, though, when they're young. I see parents who their kids will throw a temper tantrum and everybody laughs. That's not going to be so cute, though, once they hit about 5, 6 years old.
I say if it's not cute at 16, it's not cute at 2.
All right. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
I appreciate you, Mom.
I love you.
I love you, too. My mother is an educator. I don't care where she is or what she does. She loves children. That is where I got my heart and work ethic. From my parents, and I appreciate it more than anything. We want every child, and I say we because I say we, I think the whole city wants every child to be successful,
right?
To do well, to be happy, and to thrive.
These are the people that take care of you when you get older. These are your doctors, these are your lawyers, these are your car mechanics, these are your trash collectors. If somebody didn't pick my garbage up every week, I would be so unhappy. These are the people that take care of us, and every job is important. And we need to make them know that every person is important. They are important. We need them.
All right. Joanna Smith, educator for 41 years, and my mama. I could not be more proud of the things she does in the city, feeding children, getting books and paper and backpacks to children, helping families find a home. It's all important. So take the time to listen to your children, to know your teachers, to make this a good school year. And thank you for listening to Things I Need to Learn in Life I Didn't Learn in School.